here is our video about the adverse effects of complex PTSD on the body and dealing with them, what a flashback feels like for me, and a little bit more of the nightmare that I've been struggling with. Okay, so, by the way, mood ring, believe it or not, actually does help. When I get stressed out, or if I'm having a really, really bad flashback and I'm having a little bit of issues getting myself out of it, I can look down at the ring and think, okay, it is still black. I am still stressed out. I need to breathe. I need to get myself out of this. It's a little trick. It's not really the best thing in the world, but it helps. Okay, so let's go through the lines of what having complex PTSD is like and what kind of effects it can have on the body other than just your mental status. Okay, so when you are stressed out or when you are going through a period of what I would call peace and then stress and then peace again, your body reacts to that. Some people have intestinal issues from it. Some people get sick. Some people get very, what's the word? Ill feeling, I guess. So there's that. Uh, Also, if you're anything like me, the trauma that was caused and what it did to my life and my opinion of myself, I definitely attribute a lot of my eating disorder to that. Um, I have a problem with food and eating. Uh, it's better now than it was. I definitely try to eat 3 meals a day. Generally speaking, it's normally one. By the way, people, this is what happens to your body when you don't eat properly. I looked like a misshapen wrestler. I don't know. That's how I feel most days, at least. I look at this and I think, yeah. I look at this and I think, you sucking that belly. But yeah, and that's because I have poor self uh, view of myself. I have poor self image, and I acknowledge that and I'm aware of it. Um, when you're having struggles, a lot of things get affected when your complex PTSD or your PTSD is in full swing. For me, uh, impulse control is definitely difficult. Regulating my emotions, more so sometimes with people, it's regulating the emotions to get them to go from doing the roller coastery thing to a level playing field. Okay. So my emotional issues when I'm having really bad complex PTSD and flashbacks and reminders and stress and, panic attacks about it. What was I saying? Okay. Anyway, emotions. Yes, that, yeah. Roller coaster. Most people have roller coaster. Lack of. I internalize everything. I take the fear, the hate, the paranoia, the everything, and I just kind of put it all into one cube, and I keep it inside. When I'm having these really bad flashbacks and not sleeping and things not doing what they're supposed to do and my brain not operating the way it's supposed to. I tend to retreat as opposed to getting angry about it. And a lot of people I found that have complex PTSD are the same in that sense. That it is very difficult for a person to be like, hey, I'm feeling this way. Because on the outside, okay, I am a bubbly person. I smile. I'm happy. I like to be active and get out there and do stuff. I am still myself. But the problem is people see this, the happy, the let's go do stuff, and they don't see this. They don't see the sad. They don't see the pain. They don't see the, I don't want to leave my house because I'm afraid that the man who hurt me when I was younger is out there. It's not rational. It's not logical. But I'm in a constant influx of flight, fight, or freeze. And yeah, freeze is one, people, and one you don't want. Trust me. I would much rather run or fight than have this paralyzed, can't fucking move reaction. But that is what I have, and that is why I retreat. Because I know that when faced with the danger, my reaction is not logical. It's not logical. Yes, I am pulling a full Star Trek moment right now. FYI, bigger Star Wars fan, do like Star Trek. Sorry, I'm both a Trekkie and a Wars. Anyway, that being said, fuck. Internalize. Internalize everything, and it is definitely has an adverse effect on your body because you are bottling everything up. You're also causing your body to go on this in this limbo state, I guess is the way that I describe it. It's like my nerves are on fire and they know, and like my body knows something that I don't, or whatever. So it's really a matter of trying to keep that under control. When it comes to the effects on your body, definitely the more healthier you are in body, the more healthier you will be in soul and in mind. Since I started eating regularly-ish, I've been feeling better. Working out is an amazing thing. Keep your body strong, people. You can get your brain there. Okay. Complex PTSD. You will never, ever get over this. Come to those terms. Accept it. Accept that this is a part of your life forever. That this is never going to go away because it did actually damage your brain. Like, you need to, on the science side of this, it's like someone electrified your brain and now it's going boom, 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 all the time. Except for every now and again it goes boom, boom. Remember this. Remember that. And then quiet. Peace. A little bit of okay. And then remember. Ah! Turn. And it's literally like that because there's electrodes and it's just a constant flow in the brain of every time that flashback, that thought comes back into your head, your brain goes back onto fight or flight or freeze mode. So, A, not your fault. Nothing you could have done about this at all. Like, it is literally something that occurred to your brain when the traumatic events were happening. If you could get over it, you would have been by now. Okay? So that's A. So, one. Second, though you will never truly be over it, there are excellent healthcare professionals out there and wonderful natural remedies and natural treatment plans readily available. The internet is an amazing thing if you allow it to be. And the third, I know how hard it is to love yourself. I feel tears welling up in my eyes right now, as is. It is difficult. It is difficult to say, I'm beautiful and I love myself and I'm okay and I have people who love me. But it doesn't matter if you got people who love you. What matters is if you love yourself, because you have to. Those are the 3 things you need to remember when it comes to having complex PTSD. All right, so now we're going to go over suicide, suicide idealization, and why a lot of us with complex PTSD feel it is the only answer. Now, for you to completely understand why people with complex PTSD go through these emotional mood swings in which that they get to this point where they absolutely, without any doubt in their mind, believe that killing themselves is the only option. Okay? So I'm going to put a scenario in front of you, and then we're going to go over the emotional backing behind it. Okay? We're going to use going for a walk as an example. Okay, so you went for a walk and you tripped over this curb. It hurt really bad. You think about it every now and again. You get to the curb again. Once again, you hit it. Once again, it hurts. And you're like, all right, this is getting old. It's the second time I hit this thing. Like, so now your knee's really hurting because it's like, okay, you've hit this same curb in the same walk, but you're all right. You got it under control. You keep going, right? Somehow come upon that curb again, and you hit it again. This time it's harder, and this time it feels like you can almost not get off the curb, like the pain is too real. Okay, so this cycle continues over and over and over again until you literally just don't want to walk anymore. You're like, I don't want to keep walking if I'm going to keep hitting this curb. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm going home. Okay, we're going to change this scenario around so to give you a better understanding. Okay, I'm going on that walk every day, and every day that curb is the man who hurt me when I was younger. Is the boyfriend who drugged me when I was older. Is the man who physically abused me in my relationship, and me thinking I deserved it. Every time I hit that curb in my brain, it could be a different scenario. It could be a different thing that causes it, but the curb is still always there. Okay. And you get tired of walking. You get tired of the everyday life of waking up, going to sleep to that curb. That boogeyman is a constant in your life. It's like someone cutting you with a knife every night and every day and every morning. Eventually, to a degree, yes, you get used to it, But every once in a while, that curb really hurts and really knows how to dig deep into your soul because it's you. Your own subconscious is being like, you need to focus on this and get over it or do something. Or, I don't know, there have been times that I honestly thought that it was my brain's way of trying to tell me that something's going to happen. But then I come to terms with how this just order works and that I know it's just the paranoia speaking and that I don't know how I'd react if I ran into him. But that may never happen. So, yeah. Anyway, so when you consider the thought of suicide, most people go to that thought because they think people would be better off without them. Whatever the circumstance, whatever the reasoning behind it, there is like a thought process. Thought process for me is just exhaustion. You're just tired. It's a mental tired. It's like I never question when someone who has complex PTSD or PTSD says, I thought about killing myself last night. And most people are like, don't do that. Oh, people would miss you. Okay, we get it. People care about us. We understand that. We understand that more than anyone fucking ever could, because we have people in our lives that we care about too and that we love. And that love is strong because when you have complex PTSD and PTSD, knowing that emotion is nearly impossible. And being able to express it to people is even more difficult because love, huh? Like after the shit you go through, it's very, very difficult to say, hey, I know what love is and I can believe in it. Very hard. Very hard when trust is broken to such a degree. So when people with complex PTSD say that to me, or PTSD, I generally respond with, I understand. Um, I really do know how that feels. How bad was the last flashback? Or was it a nightmare? Is it a reoccurring, or are you just exhausted? Is there any way that I can help you? Um, I know you don't feel like talking about it. I know you don't want to. Big thing with people with complex PTSD, everything in regards to our pain is difficult to talk about because it's bringing it up again. Okay? It's like someone saying, can you talk about your cut on your wrist? And that cut being dug into every time people ask you to talk about it. Professionals, though, like therapists and doctors, when they ask those questions, yes, it is opening that wound up again, but they are readily prepared with ways to assist with it. Okay? If you are thinking about killing yourself, if you feel exhausted and you feel like you've hit your brick wall, you can't go on anymore, you just can't keep fighting it, you can't keep crying, you can't keep having the same nightmare over and over again, I need you to listen to the next thing that I'm about to say to you. It will end, okay? The nightmare, the pain, the suffering that you're enduring right now because of your PTSD or complex PTSD will pass. Eventually, it will. Your brain will calm down as sorts. I can't tell you that it's all going to be okay because it's not. I can't tell you that there are multiple things to live for because you already know that. I look like a bird. Anyway, yeah, there are multiple things to live for, and they're hard to think about when you're having these deep emotions occur. I felt the first time that I felt like jumping off a bridge, my emotional gauge, I guess, would have been nothing, zero. Because once you've reached that state of exhaustion, you're done. You're empty. There's nothing there. There's nothing to give. There's nothing to take. There's nothing to. It's just empty. So I guess the point is to try to find things to fill that emptiness. I'm definitely glad to have my child. He definitely brightens up the days that I feel like I can't keep going. But that's just how it is with that, I think. Um, so I did say in my last video that would be going over the nightmare that I had, that I'm still working through, and that we'd read the next little bit. I'm not entirely sure where I left off. The reason for that is because, well, I can't remember. I just can't. And I wanna. I definitely want to remember where I left off. But that's easier said than done. So, let's see here. Let's PTSD. I think what I'll do is I'll start where I feel like I left off and go from there. Why am I reading my nightmare? Why am I opening that cup? I'm opening that cup because this is one of the suggestions that was given to me for dealing with the nightmares. I have nightmares and daymares, meaning there are times in which my nightmares follow me into my everyday life. We've all had daydreams, I'm sure, in which we've dreamt about being a firefighter or astronaut or our next dream job, or I don't know. Everyone's different. Whatever your whatever your daydreams are. Now, because of how emotionally difficult this is for me, I have set up a few things for feeling like I can do this. Because the last time it was very clear that I was not exactly ready to be talking about it. But hey, it is what it is, you know? Um, I think the hardest thing is when you look at your nightmares and you try to, where you try to really emotionally go through all this and say that, you know what, it's just a nightmare. It's just words on paper. But even as I look at this journal entry, I am feeling the panic attack come on. I am feeling the emotional effects of looking at that wound again. I say this in every video. I don't know if anyone is watching, but if there is and you are not already getting help with your CPTSD or your PTSD, please reach out. There are many venues, as I stated. You do not have to go the medication route if you do not wish to. I will say there is a benefit to it. Being on the medication for a little while did give me the chance to breathe and sleep again, and almost really gave me the time to get back to the root of it, to get back to me, to finding myself again. Cheers to that. But if it's not for you, it's not for you. Many different options out there. Look into all of them. All right. Remember that PTSD and complex PTSD takes aspects of things you watch, things you've seen, any memory in general, and puts it into a combination of what is fantasy and what is reality, because your subconscious does a little bit of this when you're sleeping. Disclaimer, I don't know what this person is like now. All I know is how much I'm still afraid. I don't think I'm afraid of him anymore, per se. Uh, hmm. Yeah, I am. Yes, I am. But you know what? That's okay. Because he's psychotic. No, it's okay because I have complex PTSD. I'm never going to stop being afraid of him. I'm never going to get out of this fight or flight situation. Pardon me. But every time I write down a nightmare, I get closer to being over it. The nightmare, that is. I will never be over my PTSD. But I can thrive, and I can get better. Okay, guys. So my OCD is trying to get me to wait till it is exactly 30 minutes in to start reading, because I have issues. Yeah, I actually do. I can't. I'm like literally talking to myself on a screen, hoping that someone's going to watch these and benefit from it, while also having a little panic attack and trying to joke my way away from it. It doesn't really work that way, does it? Oh, welcome to my other deflector, my smile. When I'm really upset, instead of going and crying, I smile like a little girl. I hate it. Everything I do really is deflection or avoidance. And I'm doing it again. Okay. I'm gonna do this. How's my days? How's my days? I can do this. Okay. If you won't let... okay. I'm talking to him right now in the dream. If you won't let me go, please let my son go. Please. He says, Lydia, shut the fuck up. You sound like a fucking broken record. I start to beg him, and he tells me to stop. With my legs tied to a chair and my hands bound, I go silent in fear that I may actually lose my tongue with the look that he gave me. I'm listening to the tick-tock of the barely visible clock to try to keep track of time. Just a drink. It's just words on paper. I'm avoiding again. On camera! No, not funny. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I'm really trying to focus on this and read it, but I don't want to. That is right. I am pulling a child, an 8-year-old probably. Maybe even 5. I don't want to. No. But I've got to. And I'm doing this for you guys too, to remind you guys that, you know what, it isn't real. It is just something that your brain came up with. It is a nightmare. It is meant to scare you. It is meant to be scary. It's okay to be scared by it. It is not okay to let it control you. So I am not going to let this nightmare control me. Okay, he cooks saying you and says you couldn't just move on. And now we all have to suffer for it. Hear the crackle of oil on the stove. He grabs a chair and then sits on it with the back facing me. He grabs a cigarette and lights it. Want a puff? I don't answer and he takes the taser out of his jacket and asks me again. Meekly, I say, sure. Ask nicely, he says. I say please, knowing that if I do not, things could get worse. He passes me the smoke. I inhale and he tases me, making me choke on the cigarette smoke. As I do so, he burns me with the lit cigarette. I cry in agony. As he returns to cooking. You are mine now, and you will do what I say when I say it. Now ask me to make love to you. He says as he turns on his phone to record, I assume. No escapes me, as if it is burning through me. What was that, he said. I regain some bravery and say, no. I said no. He takes my wrists and unbinds them, just to tie one arm to the chair, tightly, and leave the other one free. He gets up from the chair and goes and gets the oil from the stove. La 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 la. Okay. All right. He says, Lydia, I'll give you one last chance. Say it. I begin to say, I want to. And as I say, I want to, I end up saying, I want to puke. And I end up throwing up in his direction. A look of rage covers his face, and some of the puke landed on him. He takes my hand and forces it into the hot burning oil. I have never felt something so hot. I could smell my hand begin to cook before he pulls it out. In my dream, I have pissed myself. I cry in agony as the air touches my hand and the burns feel even more red hot. He covers my hand with a cream-like substance and wraps it, relieving the pain slightly as he wraps it with the gauze. Okay. He goes to his phone and asks again. Ask me to make love to you again, or I'll cook your other hand instead of my supper. I cry and I gulp. I clear my throat as he starts to walk close with the oil again. I'm going to say it. Please, just wait. Don't hurt me again. Oh, dear God. Pardon me, sorry. I force the words out of my mouth as if I'm forcing glass out. He responds with gladly after I make dinner. He then turns off his phone. My head and my hand hurt so much. I'm dizzy as he sits down at the table and eats his food. I can feel the blood still dripping from my head from when he punched me and locked my son in his room. My hand still almost vibrating from the pain. I've never felt pain feel so real in a dream. But with each movement of my hand in my dream, the pain just becomes even more unbearable. I feel dizzy. Seeing that I am beginning to pass out, and I struggle to fight the pain, he gets up and grabs 2 pills. And he says, no need to make you suffer this much. He makes me take the pills, and no matter how hard I try not to, forcing it down my throat and making me drink water to make sure it goes down. He says, you're going to be fun to break again. He says that I'm making him hard, and that if I keep it up, that he'll hurt me on this table. Soon the pills that he made me take begin to kick in. And tells me to say thank you. Thank you for getting rid of the pain with the painkillers. I scream, you caused this pain. The defiance is readily read across my face as he grabs my hand that is burnt and squeezes it aggressively. As the painkillers haven't really kicked in quite yet, the pain is so extreme that I cry so hard that I can't even breathe. And I'll make it worse. Now thank me. Begrudgingly and in pain, I thank him. I cry and I start to feel the pain subside. He ties my hand down to the chair and takes my mouth shut, leaving me half passed out watching him eat. With my mouth taped shut, he says, "You should have let it go. I would have left you alone. Now, I need to teach you a lesson." Okay. I think that's enough for today, more so because I gotta use the bathroom now because my body's like hateful. Alright, another video tomorrow, and thank you so much for checking in, and we will finish that nightmare.